Welcome to Liz Collin Reports. On the podcast, prepping for what's predicted to be a history making storm in Minnesota. We thought we'd take a little bit of a break from politics and crime to bring in Bo Cole, a Minnesota meteorologist, to break it all down for us. You can follow him on Twitter at Bo Knows Weather. Bo, thank you so much for joining us here at Alpha News.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you, I know, have had your hands full, as I've seen on Twitter, but that's the
hmm
very biggest question, I think. Let's start there. How bad is this thing going to be?
Gosh, I think honestly it's probably going to be a top five system and top five from 1883. So that's a long time, as you know. So the big benchmark, as everyone knows, is the Halloween blizzard of 91. Will we get there? That's a huge mystery, but it's going to be pretty close, I think. So
And I know you're going to kind of
yeah.
walk our viewers and our listeners through this thing. It's several
Yeah.
different rounds, and that's what's making this so treacherous, right? And so bad. This thing's going to go
hmm
over the course of several days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tonight, and a slight lull tomorrow. And then it'll really kick up with a vengeance tomorrow afternoon into Thursday. So that's going to be when things really go nuts. So
And I know you have
yeah,
some graphics to walk folks through how this thing's going to
absolutely.
shape up, and basically
Yeah,
starting Tuesday.
absolutely. Yeah, I can share that if you wish. Um, bear with me. So I prepared some graphics and phase. So you're hearing on the news, everyone's talking phase 1 and 2. So it's a little bit of a confusing situation, but phase 1 is actually ongoing right now. Probably will last till about 7 a.m. tomorrow. Could expect 6 to 8 inches of snow, but the secondary round, the really big one, will happen tomorrow afternoon into Thursday evening. We could see an additional 8 to 16 inches, which is pretty substantial in itself. So when all is said and done, we could be looking at numbers approaching 2 feet. And this graphic here that you're looking at is the Winter Storm Severity Index. It's a relatively new thing that's been rolled out, but it kind of shows societal impacts, travel impacts, what can be expected for our area. And as you can see, the metro specifically is in the extreme impact. So showing you a little bit closer there, substantial disruptions to daily life, extremely dangerous or impossible driving conditions, and travel is not advised. So extensive widespread closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur. So it's going to be one of those situations where a lot of people are like, should I stay home? Should I work from home? And the reality is you might not even be able to go anywhere unless you're driving a Humvee or a tank. You know what I mean? It's going to be bad. So
And I know you
uh,
mentioned the Halloween blizzard, Bo, of
mhm,
91. This is more than 21 inches
mhm.
that fell at that time. How do you think this one will measure up?
Well, I'll show you my map. I'm predicting 12 to 20, isolated 20 to 28 inch amounts. I have the Minneapolis-St. Paul area in this red box here, but the Halloween blizzard actually was 28.4, so that was pretty high. The next in line is 21.1. So if we get anywhere in the low 20s, we could be looking at the top two snowfalls of basically all time since records have been kept here, which is pretty substantial. Um,
Wow, wow! And meteorologists, of course, get a lot of flack. I know you do too on
yep.
Twitter. You know, you guys are always wrong. So I've seen that. Why should we believe you this time?
Yeah.
But there is this thing called the probability forecast from the National
hmm
Weather Service. Explain that for anyone doubting you, I guess, at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, probabilities have been really high even leading up to this storm. The numbers are honestly unlike anything I've seen. I've been doing this for a little over a decade now, and I've been around for a minute, and I have never seen probabilities this high going into a storm. It's really just an alignment of all the models. They're all agreeing. It's been just run after run after run of suggesting really high totals. So it really looks quite substantial. And so there's always that element of could there still be a bust? There obviously could still be things changing. I mean, we're talking about this thing drawn out over the course of the entire week. I mean, we've been talking about it since last week, really got on everyone's radar this weekend, and then now, we're early in the week still, but things can still change. But do I envision any substantial changes? I don't. But the reality is it's been so pumped up that I think a lot of people will say, if we get anywhere close to like a foot, and not more than that, they'll probably consider it a bust. But even that, for our standpoint here in the metro area, is a very substantial snowstorm. We don't often get 1 foot amounts very commonly here. So,
And that's also why you're saying travel may simply just be impossible.
yeah, I mean, the reality is, you look at your car, if you're not driving an SUV, even if you have snow tires, your bumper, unless you have really high ground clearance, you're going to be running into that snow and you're not going to be able to move. It's going to be a situation where just getting around town is pretty bad. So, I mean, you might remember the couple of the last big storms we had. The one that took down the Metrodome was number 5 here, 17.1 inches. So that's, it was pretty deep for that storm too. Yeah, and so you can see some of this really ominous criteria that they've issued for the winter storm warning: historic storm leading to impossible travel. The formal advisory calls for 15 to 25 inches, which is I haven't seen anything like that in a long time.
So we have the warning,
Yeah,
but also some
yeah,
folks are going to have it even worse with
exactly.
that wind, right? And the blizzard warning
Yeah,
that's been issued too.
exactly. Yeah, especially to our west and some of the open and rural areas. But even here in the metro, I mean, we might get into some of that where things are blowing around pretty substantially. So blizzard warnings are a little bit more rare in the metro, but we've had them periodically because you have the buildings, you have all the urban sprawl and things like that, so it kind of like blocks that wind a little bit. But it can still get really bad in the core metro too. So
Do you want to go ahead and show folks that map that breaks down the warning and the blizzard?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So pink, the bright pink magenta color is the metro area here, part of rural Minnesota as well, and west central Wisconsin. Then we have the blizzard warning just west of the metro. So very common to have a blizzard warning out in those open areas of the state. So could it get expanded? It could. It could end up spreading east. This is a fun graphic I pulled as well. Probability of 12 inches more or more of snow. So you can see, I mean, looking at the red, pretty much at 100%.
I like how you call this a fun graphic, Bo. I'm not so sure about
Yeah.
that, but you're
Mm-hmm.
right though. It's not the typical little line we normally see.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wide swath of the state.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, I mean, this is, including a lot of members from the models as well. So it's pretty scientific in that regard, but it's definitely an ominous setup and looking like it's going to give us a lot. So this too here is it's what we call one of the high resolution models. So this gives you a little bit more of a really precise look at the totals. So leading up to a storm, you have what's called high res models, medium range, and then long range, medium range, and then high res. So they're a tighter resolution the closer you get to the onset. So the really high res ones don't go out as far, so to speak. So
And
this one gives us. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say this storm you said is also different, that these model projections have basically been run again and again, and they're not
Mm-hmm.
really changing that much, unlike other storms you've seen before.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the only difference from yesterday at this time, there was a slightly more expansive core of this heavier bright color, but that's not abnormal leading up to a storm for it to fluctuate like that. But even then, I mean, you're looking at 19 to 25 inches right over the metro area, which is otherworldly in my opinion. So,
So, any tips for anyone who has to be out on the road, or just should we park it? I know the Department of Public Safety issued some tips as well.
yeah, I mean, if you absolutely have to be out, tonight is one of those things where it's several inches and then through tomorrow morning. So that's not completely unmanageable. If you have to get out and get things done, do it tonight, drive safely, and then also maybe part of the mid morning tomorrow. But keep in mind that second wave might roar in pretty quickly, and when it does, it's going to pack a punch. So if you have to be out and you have an adequate vehicle with good ground clearance, great tires, specifically like snow tires. All seasons might not even cut it in a situation like this. You're going to want to make sure you have a kit in your car with, boots, jackets, gloves, blankets, obviously a cell phone charger, flashlight, spare batteries if you need them, water, snacks, things like that, booster cables, all the stuff on the screen here. I mean, I know it seems like a lot, but if you have to travel, it's definitely going to be key to have that in your car. But late Wednesday into Thursday, travel might be nearly impossible. So it's plan on maybe staying where you're going for a couple of
Or
days.
plan to buy an Army tank or a Hummer, as you
Yeah,
recommended
exactly.
earlier.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just
You can probably pick
something.
one up used.
They're running a
So,
lot of specials this time of year. Well, thank you so
yeah,
much, Bo Cole. Again, you can follow him
yeah.
at Bo Knows Weather on Twitter. But just bottom line for folks, I guess it's just sort of take it easy out there if you do have to be out, but basically get ready to park it pretty quick here by Wednesday.
Absolutely. Yeah, stay safe, everyone. It looks like one for the record books for sure. So,
All right. Good luck with the storm, sir. Thank you so much for all you do.
thank you. You too. Take care.
And that'll do it for this episode of Liz Collin Reports. We'll see you next time.